This is the third video in the dashboard module, and it's confusing. This is the third video, but our second dashboard. And so the dashboard that we're going to do in this video, let me jump over to it in completed form. There you go. You can see that we're dealing with orders. And so we have a card area here where we can filter by module and by color. So we have module A blue, module B blue, and so on. And then we show the order status. So we have not started, late orders, and on-time orders, and then we filter those specific orders. So if I want to see all of the module B orders, for example, I can just click my module Bs. Let's see, where's my last one? Right over here, last two. There we go. There are 4 module Bs. And so it's easy to filter down and see the performance for any individual filtered set, like a class or a color or something like that. And then you can actually see the orders. So this is the one we're going to build in this video. So we're back in Simio, the different copy of Simio, the one where we, in the previous video, built the initial material quantity. And so we're going to create a new dashboard here, and we will call this one orders. And of course it opened on my other screen. There we go. There's the, I guess this is called an editor, the dashboard editor dialog. And so the first thing we're going to do is set the data source. And so the data source here is another data table, the orders table. And so you can see all of the columns in that table there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my elements. So I know I'm going to have a cards element. I know I'm going to have my pie chart element, and I'm going to have my grid element. So they're all aligned up, and I actually want a different layout, so I can drag these around. You can see I can drag those around this way, and that gives us the view that we saw in, oh, I think so. No, actually it didn't. This one, the one we had before is this one. So where the cards are across the top. And the pie is over here and the grid is over here. So again, a demonstration of how you can, once you have the elements on the screen or on the form, you can drag them around and change their relative location. Okay, so let's start with the cards. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the release date. And it doesn't really matter what we choose for this one, because this is what we're going to use for doing just for the enumeration. So I'm going to go, and then as we saw before, I'm going to switch to compact. And this time I'm going to use title and subtitle, and we'll see why here in just a second. Similar to what we did in the previous one. And this time I'm going to put the material name here in the series. And so now you can see the material that we have from the order. Remember, we're not doing the material table here, we're doing the order table, and each order is for a particular material. So you can see our order table consists of modules A, module B, and module C. But we also want to incorporate module color. And so for this one, what we're going to do, at least initially, is we're going to grab the color and put it also in the series, and if you just hover it above the top, you can put it on top, and now you see the structure that the completed dashboard that I showed at the beginning of the video, where we have module color, module color, module color. So we have that set up the way we want it. Then I'm going to go into data and say multiple master filter, and again you can see now we have the little filter icon, and then we will name it. Let's see, edit names. Let's name this module and colors. Modules and colors, there we go. So there's our first part. The second part, let's go to the pie chart. And here's where we're going to add, we need to add a calculated field. So I need to count the numbers so that I can get, so that the pie chart itself can use the proportion. So I'm going to go over to table orders and just right click and say add a, I'm sorry, this isn't the count one, I'm sorry. I'm ahead of myself here. So I'm still going to add a field, but it's not going to be the count. What I need to add here is the categorization of late, early, and on time, or late, not shipped, and on time. So let's do that. So let's do that expression. And so what I need to do is I need to filter an expression based on the completion date. So I'm going to go here and say my where's my if here? Logical. Where's my logical? I have an if statement, and you can read the help on how the if statement works here is that you have a first clause true value, second clause true value, and so on. So the way this if works is I can have a long string of if, and it's like an if then, and so on. And then there's a last value that if you haven't reached a true value yet, then it's going to take that last value. So instead of typing this and making you watch it, I'm just going to paste this in, and then I will we'll discuss how we got it. So let me just copy that from my clipboard here, and then paste it in. And so you can see that my condition is I'm looking at completion date, and my first condition says if it's null, so if there is no completion date, then it's not started. If this condition isn't true, then we go to the second condition. The second condition is if the completion date is less than the due date, then it's on time. And then we have the trailing condition, or the final condition, which says if this one's not true, we go to this one. If this one's not true, we go to the last one. And so it would be a late order. So that is our calculated field, and we will rename this order status. Order status. And now we come to the calculated number field. It's kind of tough when you can't read your own notes. So there we go. Let's just right click and add another field called another calculated field. And this one is where we're just going to count the number of records. So we can go and choose, let's see, where would it be? Aggregate. So if you go to aggregate, the aggregate function, here we go, right here, count, simply count the number of records. So we will say okay. And now we have our second calculated field, and I'm going to name this number. There we go. And so we will then drag my calculated field number to values, and now you can see we have, everything. We've counted them all. And then we can drag status right here, order status, to arguments. There you go. And so now you can see that we have the calculated field is used in conjunction with the count. And so the calculated field in this case, we only have on-time orders and late orders. And so it created the pie chart based on the count values and the order status values. If we had unshipped orders, which we can do here in just a second, you can see they would show up here. Well, let's go ahead and do that now. So let's go back and save this one, save the dashboard, because I'm going to go back in and make a slight change to my model. I'm going to go to my data, and if you remember from case study 3, we had 4 different scenarios. This one is scenario A, and scenario A didn't have any unshipped orders. Let's go to the bigger scenario, scenario D. So I'm just going to go to materials, change the file name, then import the new materials, and then go to orders, change its file name so that we get the scenario D files, and import those. There we go. And then I can go back to my dashboard. So go back to my results. And our interest in orders here is, let's see here. Let's edit this guy. Oops. There we go. There's our calculated fields. And what am I missing here? Ah, there we go. Order status. Oh, I haven't run it. Okay, so confusing myself again. I'll go back here. I saved the changes to the dashboard, and the problem was I hadn't run my model. So I'm going to go back to my facility view and fast forward through my model. And just so I don't end up doing the same thing again, I'm going to pause the model, go to planning, and go ahead and generate a plan, even though we're not using that right now. Leave that at the Gantt chart view, and back to results. And now we can see that we have the on time, the late, and the not started. And so these are overall records because we have no filter selected. If I wanted to know, say, the blue ones only, I could select the 3 modules of the blue and so on. So the filtering here works like we have seen before. All right, so back, and let's edit this dashboard. It comes up, of course, in my other monitor, so grab that. And then the filling in the grid is our last part. So, oops, I guess I forgot to rename this. Let's rename this. I always like to do this. As you saw earlier, I forgot to do it, and we still had Cars 1 in one of my demonstration dashboards. So it's always a good idea to update this as you go. So we're going to call this order status. So now we have modules and colors, and we have order status, and our last thing is the grid of orders. So you can see when I have my grid, I can just drag fields to the new column. So let's do order ID, and so now you can see we have the order ID. Let's do the material name. Let's see, what else do we want to do? Color. Let's do quantity. And then, I don't know, let's do arrival date. So we do, I think arrival date was the other one. And note when I put arrival date in, we can choose the format. It just by default chose the year, but we can go down and use the format that we're used to in Simio is date, hour, minute. So now you see the format that we see before. And so now you can see that when I go to module A, for example, module B, if I do multi-select, that that selection filters not only the order status pie chart, but also our grid. And so oops, let me clear that status here. And as a final thing, a final edit that I'm going to make here to this one is I will go back to edit the names here. I forgot to do that before. So just make this orders. And you can see that for the grid, it also lets me give more friendly column names. So we just call that ID, material, color's fine, quantity's fine, but we don't need the sum, and the arrival, we don't need the DTG or the notation of the format. So now again, you can see that we have the filtering, and we have the cards which do the filtering of both the order status and the orders. So in this dashboard, you'll note that we did our filtering where we took the modules, the 3 module types and the 4 colors, and we enumerated the options. So we have a single filter where we enumerate. We take the modules crossed with the colors till we get all of the cards here. And so we could have just as easily had 2 separate filters, right? We could have a module filter and then have a color filter where it works similar to what we saw in the previous video. So in fact, let's just give that a try here. So before I mess this one up, let's go back and let's save it. And then I'm going to export it. So let's export that, and we'll just leave it as orders for now so that I have it just in case I am not able to do this simple modification that I say we can do. And let's give it a go. So let's just edit it. And so what I need to do is go and change my material, my modules in color, and I need to get rid of the color. There we go. So now we just have module A. So now we still have a working dashboard. It's just I'm unable to filter by color. I just have module A, module B, and module C. So what I should be able to do, keep our fingers crossed, is to just add another set of cards. Let's put this, I don't know, let's put this right here. Let's put it beside it. We'll see how it ends up. So we have the Cars 1 here. And so what I'm going to do here is use the colors. So let's go, and I think we just put anything here and change this to back to be my compact. And we don't need subtitles anymore because we're only going to have one level. So we do that. And then we have colors. So let's go grab color and call that my series. And so now we have blue, green, black, yellow, red. And I just need to go to data and say multi-filter. So now we have module, those are all module A's. Now we should be able to have just blue module A's somehow. Let's see, I should be able to have both of these. So do module B. Let's see what we're doing here. Let's do module B. There's the green ones. Apparently I don't have any blue module A's, but we have yellow. We can combine yellow and red, and so on. So you can see now, let me save this and go back out and get out of edit mode so that we can see if the edit actually worked to what we want. So again, we have module A, and we can get rid of that filter. We can look at blue. That should be all the blue ones. We should have, yeah, we have multiple module types here. Look at all the green ones. I look at the blue and green ones. And now I should be able to say, here are all the module A's. There are the blue module A's, the green module A's, the red module A's, and the yellow module A's. So again, a relatively straightforward modification. And again, it's pure choice as to how you want to have this work. In the initial version, we just had all the combinations in one set of cards. In this one, we're going to have a two-level selection. So I'm going to save this one also. So let's go here and change the names. Oops, I can't change the names in live mode. I got to be in edit mode. So let's go in edit mode and rename this one. It's now just modules. And our second set of cards, colors. There we go. So we'll save that one. And I could change the name. If I wanted to save both of those, for example, I could, well, we'll just do that. So we can save the name. Let's call this one Orders 2. Not very original there. And we'll export its XML2 just to save it. And now we can import the one that we had saved previously. So I import orders. And so now we have both. So now we have the orders dashboard, which enumerates our module color combinations. We have 3 modules and 4 colors, so there are 12 cards here. And then we have the second one, orders 2, where we have the 3 here and the 4 here, so we get that same 3 times 4 combination. And so that choice is which one you want. Again, it's not right or wrong. It's which one you prefer and which one makes the specific dashboard more interesting. Certainly, if we had many more than 12 combinations, having a single card would get awkward. Like if we had, say, 10 modules and 10 colors, it would be impractical to have a single filter. It would also be difficult to use. So for a 12, you can decide if it's if it's better to have them separated or to have them together. Okay, so that's it for the second dashboard.